Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome back to Mrs. Hannah's Story Spot. I'm so glad you could join me today. We are going to talk about mistakes. Do you know what a mistake means? Mistake is when you do something they didn't mean to. Not necessarily something that's bad, but you fell down, or you were riding your bike and you fell over, or you were walking to the playground and you slipped on something. That's a mistake. You fell down. Okay. Maybe you were writing your name on your paper and you wrote one of the letters backwards or wrong and you had to erase it. It's a mistake, but it's okay. It's how we learn, right? What if there was a girl who never, ever, ever made a mistake ever? Do you think that's possible? Let's talk about it. This is a book called The Girl Who Never Made Mistakes. We have to talk about the author. The author is Mark Pett and Gary Rubenstein. There are two authors for this one. They work together to write all the words in this story. But we have a new one. It's called Illustrator. The illustrator is the person that draws all these amazing pictures and colors them. So I'm going to show them all to you. They're really cool. But the illustrator is Mark Pett. So Mark Pett drew the pictures and wrote some of the words. That's a pretty cool job. All right, here we go. The Girl Who Never Makes Mistakes. For Beatrice Bottomwell, Friday began just like any other day. She matched her socks, and of course, she put her shoes on their proper feet. She remembered to feed her hamster Humbert his favorite food, broccoli. And when she made a sandwich for her brother Carl's lunch, she used exactly the same amount of peanut butter as jelly. She made a perfect sandwich, right? When she stepped outside to greet her fans, she didn't forget to say good morning or thank you. She has fans. They asked her if she made her bed. Of course she had. They asked her if she forgot to do her math homework. Nope. What about tonight's talent show? They asked. I'm ready, said Beatrice with a smile. After all, her juggling act had won 3 years in a row. She must be pretty perfect. Most people in town didn't even know Beatrice's name. They just called her the girl who never makes mistakes, because as long as anyone could remember, she never did. Look at that perfect block stack. Never fell down riding her bike, and she knows how to juggle. Juggling is hard. Unlike Beatrice, Carl made lots of mistakes. He ate his crayons and drew with his green beans. He danced with his hands and played the piano with his feet. Carl loved making mistakes. At school, Beatrice was on a cooking team with two of her best friends, Millie and Sarah. To make their giant rhubarb muffins, they needed 4 eggs. So Beatrice went to the refrigerator and carefully chose the biggest, eggiest eggs she could find. But on the way back, her legs slipped out from under her. The eggs went flying. Beatrice was about to make her first mistake. But she didn't. That was close, thought Beatrice. Look, she caught them all. Sorry, Beatrice, I dropped a piece of rhubarb, said her friend Millie. Don't look at it, really. She has an egg in her mouth. For the rest of the school day, Beatrice could not stop thinking about her almost mistake. On her way home from school, Beatrice watched Millie and Sarah ice skating at the park. Come join us, said Millie. It's fun, said Sarah. Beatrice watched them slip and slide on the frozen pond. Millie and Sarah laughed as they wobbled on the ice. No, thanks, said Beatrice. At supper, Beatrice barely touched her food. Everything all right, kiddo? Asked her father. I'm worried I'm going to mess up tonight, said Beatrice, and everyone will be watching. Worry? You don't make mistakes, he said with a smile. Beatrice tried to smile, too. Look at her little brother with his bowl on top of his head. He likes mistakes. After supper, Beatrice got ready for the talent show. First, she woke up Humbert from his nap. Next, she got the salt shaker from the kitchen table. Finally, she filled the balloon with water. So we've got a hamster, salt, and water balloon. The school auditorium was packed. Beatrice felt her stomach jumping around inside of her. That means she's nervous. Beatrice waited for her juggling music to begin. That's her! That's the girl that never makes mistakes, said a woman. Oh, we know she'll be perfect, said a man. When the music started, she tossed Humbert into the air. Next, she added the salt shaker. And finally, the water balloon. She was juggling and she didn't miss a beat. The crowd clapped with delight. But Beatrice noted something odd about the salt shaker. The specks falling out were not white. What does that mean? What was in the salt shaker? Ah! Achoo! Humbert was so surprised by his big sneeze that he grabbed the water balloon with his claws. Kabooey! Humbert, pieces of water balloon, and the pepper rained down on top of Beatrice. For the first time, and as long as anyone could remember, Beatrice made a mistake. And it was a big one. The music stopped. Beatrice didn't know what to do. Cry? Run off the stage? The crowd sat stunned. They couldn't believe that the girl who never makes mistakes made a mistake. What? Beatrice looked up at Humbert. He looked back at her. The hamster's fur was soaked and speckled with bits of balloon. Beatrice let out a little giggle. The giggle grew into a chuckle, and the chuckle became a full laugh. The people in the crowd looked at each other and then back at Beatrice, and they began to giggle and chuckle, and then finally roar with laughter. Everyone was laughing. Beatrice and the audience laughed until they couldn't even remember why they were laughing. That night, Beatrice slept better than she ever had. In the morning, there were no fans outside to greet Beatrice. When she got dressed, Beatrice, for no reason at all, put a polka-dotted sock on one foot and a striped sock on the other foot. Beatrice and Carl made sandwiches. This time, they only put the peanut butter and jelly on the outside. They called it an out PB&J. Lunch was messy and delicious. Later, Beatrice found Millie and Sarah skating in the park. They fell a lot and laughed a lot. Now, people no longer call her the girl who never makes mistakes. They just call her Beatrice. Well, how fun was that? I feel like Beatrice had way more fun when she was making mistakes, and when she was trying to be perfect all of the time, she maybe didn't have as much fun. Plus, when you make mistakes, it helps you learn. So making mistakes is very important for us to do in our life. We don't need to be perfect all the time. Make mistakes. Have fun. Okay, boys and girls, have a beautiful day.